Quite the ripping yarn.
Shall we start with the yarn?
Nick Funnell for now, however I say it. Thanks for coming on, bro. Appreciate it.
No worries, man. Keen as.
So how this usually goes is before we get to sort of the mindset stuff that you're doing,
Yeah.
I like to learn a bit about the background of sort of the man behind the brand.
Yeah.
So where did you grow up? What was your childhood like? What led you to basically this point in life to where you're doing this mindset coaching stuff?
Well, basically, I just lived the normal life that people kind of aspire to, the things that I've heard you talk about in your podcast where you kind of tick in the boxes. And then you get through to a certain point where you're like, hang on, I've ticked these boxes. It doesn't feel like I thought it was going to feel like. And then that's where you start asking questions. And then you go on like a bit of a tangent in life. Like I had a girlfriend of 6 years from like 19 to 26, had a house in Matua, worked at the bank. And yeah, all of a sudden, yeah, broke up with my girlfriend, quit my job, sold my house and bought a one-way ticket overseas and just sort of like traveled for years and tried to figure it out. But, you know, that was a decade ago now. And I have a business revolving around these kind of ideas now. So yeah, so it's just, I felt like I was kind of on like a track where, you know, the road was perfect and everything was going the way that it's meant to go. But for some reason, there was like this feeling of like, is this what I'm going to do? Like, I was 26 at the time, and I remember thinking, like, am I just going to holding pattern now till 40, or like what do I do? And I couldn't shake the feeling, and I couldn't shake the thoughts, and I kept getting all these ideas, and then so I was just kind of like, yeah, felt like I was on train tracks going a way that was a good way, and like it should have all been perfect, but I just didn't feel like that, and then so I just derailed the train.
The old, what do I call it? Like the life playbook, bro?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like we all
Yeah.
got taught this certain way, like go to school, get a job, buy a house, do all this shit. And then you do all that and you go, this is pretty shit. I'll do something
Well,
else.
when you're looking at it from the bottom, it's like, yeah, 100% that's what I want. Like, I want to be able to just like put holes in the wall and build a like bar downstairs if I want to, and like these things that you just can't do in a rental or whatever. And then, but then once you get there and you do it, you're like, oh, okay, now what? Like, I've done that now. I've built the bar downstairs. I've like got my flatmates that I like to hang out with, living with us. We've got a pool, like these sorts of things. And then, but then you still just emptily stare out the window at times, just wondering if like there's something else you could have been doing or should have been doing. And then, you know, travel always floats in the mind if you've been in the same place your whole life. Then yeah, it was just that got the best of me. But then now my business is revolving around just so you're on the train track, you don't want to derail the train. And you're like, but you're still questioning all this other stuff. So it's taking away from your enjoyment in life. But I have a system for finding way more value in your day-to-day life that makes it feel like the train's just way cooler. The one that you're already on without having to derail it. And so that's what I like to help people with. And that's the reason why I do it, is because I derailed the train and like did a whole bunch of crazy stuff that you don't actually need to do, but you do figure some stuff out. Maybe you do. Maybe you do actually have to do it. But maybe my insights that I can offer with my business and the videos can, you know, make you happy with staying on the same train forever. And then you don't derail it and everything's all good. And if that's a possibility, why not do it?
It sounds like you went through that transition quite early too. 26 is sort of,
Yeah,
it's pretty
yeah.
young.
Yeah, yeah. But it was just things were I was just lucky and things worked out like quicker than what I thought they would. But then it's just you definitely stop and think, okay, what else next? Like the only thing up from here is like you get a better car and a nicer house. And like, you're just trading out what you already had, but why can't you just be happy with what you've got? And then I couldn't answer that question.
Yeah. Yeah. Materialism, You've got to get to that point though. I feel like in life, you've got to get to that point where you've like got all the shit you always wanted to then go, actually, this doesn't make me happy. Like kind of realizing that happiness is within, it doesn't come from that, following that playbook or having all those material things that you always wanted as a kid. It's sort of, it's in here more so.
Like I didn't obviously hit that, like, because when you're a kid, you envision it like, because I had one of those, boxes that you draw when you're, like, 11 or 12, and then you gotta revisit it, and in there, I had a, topical view of a diagram of my ideal house, and I think it had, like, a laser tag basketball court with the bedrooms around it, and, like, a bar pool in the middle of the thing with a moat around it, so I didn't quite achieve that level, and it had, like, yeah, it had about 6 car or 10 car garaging all the way along, but, yeah, you had to go through a laser tag to get to the bedrooms. And, like, so I was like, yeah, I didn't quite achieve that level, so there's always stuff to aspire to, but, I was just going along the steps, and then I started to realize, like, "Oh my god, I'm doing the steps, and I now can't get off this road because I kinda, like, couldn't afford to keep my house and do what I wanted to do, so I kinda had to sell what to do the other, and then so I had to derail the train to figure it out, but then I realized what I have figured out now is that you don't need to derail the train to enjoy your life, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Maybe you've just got to like, what would the analogy be? Follow a different track, off to the left and sort of
Well,
find some passion and some purpose, but also keep your life together at the same time
but
or something.
it's like slapping a turbo like, imagine your train's got an engine, and it's just like and it just feels like it's just kinda idling at just a normal speed. It's not even really and I'm just going through the motions, like, yeah, it's going in a perfect direction in a very straight line, but it's just chugging along, and it doesn't feel that cool, and it's just imagine slapping a turbocharger on that train engine and just having a bit of a hiss for a while, and just, and it's enjoying the track you're already on.
It's an
Sort of
interesting
stuff.
perspective, bro, because naturally, naturally, I'm always encouraging people to like go out there and like chase their purpose and their passion and, like create a life that they want instead of
Yeah.
doing exactly what you were talking about and following the playbook and then going, oh shit, this is pretty boring. But there's also something in there with what you're talking about, eh? Like
Yeah.
actually seeing the magic in having a life like that and how amazing it is. And that's another part that I preach about, like life here in New Zealand. There's so much negativity out there, and like I was a culprit of it. I left New Zealand when I was 18, from up north, and at the time I was like, screw this place. I'm going to Australia. Got to Australia, it's
Well,
amazing. But now having been back here for 10 years, and I'm obviously older, it's like the I guess how lucky we are here to be able to actually build that life that you're talking about that you wanted to escape. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting perspective. There's definitely a fine balance in there, I feel. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I think it's to do with contrast though. So like, if you grew up and your life was really, really hard, then like that life is gonna seem extra extraordinary to you. But if you grew up with all of the creature comforts and all of the stuff, and then now you're having to move into a smaller house with like less things, then that is someone else's dream. But to you, like like when I was traveling, my Vietnamese bloody motorbike tour guide, like if I ever brought him to come see where we live and what we do on a day to day basis in Tauranga here, like, they'll be like, "What the heck? You get to live here?" Skateboard everywhere, bike everywhere. There's, like, mean scenery, no rubbish, like, you just leave your house unlocked. You got that much like, the amount of lawn that you've got, and it's not even a big lawn at all. But from his perspective, this is, like, multi-millionaire dream life, but then if haven't got the contrast of growing up in Vietnam and being a Vietnamese motorbike tour guide, it doesn't seem like that to you. And then like, the same way you can, borrow enthusiasm from your dog, like, in the morning, just when your dog's like, "Are we going for a walk?" And then you kinda just think like, "Why am I not this fizzed up about getting outside for a walk?" And you just borrow little bits of that, I think it's the contrast that makes things either enjoyable or not. And so if you've been on the train for a long time and you've been heading in the right direction, doing all of the right things, controlling yourself, making sure you, like, do the late nights or stick it in, overcome your procrastination, all of these things. You've managed to keep in the gym, you've managed to keep yourself fit, but maybe that slipped, I don't know. But, you've been on this train for so long that it just feels normal to you, and anyone else looking in is like, "What are you complaining about? You've got a lovely wife, you've got cool kids, you've got an amazing job, like, why would you ever complain?" And the only reason that it is, and it's not for anything other than it's been like this in my life for quite a while now, and I don't have any contrast to apply to it to see how good it really is. And so that's what these videos offer that I do for people. It's like it's a stock take on where you're at, what you're up to, why you're doing what you're doing, and then presenting it back to you in a way that you can see it, that you couldn't see it before. And then so then you're like, "Yeah, I am that guy. That's so cool." And then so now it's elevated how you feel, and then the train's exciting again. Same train, same road, same things you're doing every day. It's just you've got a new perspective on it, and it seems exciting. So that's how it's kind of feels like it's turbocharged and you're going a bit faster. But yes, it's not. It's the same pace. You're just looking at it differently because you've, borrowed a bit of enthusiasm from your dog. You've seen how cool your wife actually is. Like, you realize how lucky you are to have cool kids, and like things that you just didn't appreciate before.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're really pointing out that stuff I always talk about, eh? Like this is this brain up here. It's the
Yeah.
most important tool we have, and it's so
That's why I
true
read
because
this
I'm
out.
I'm that person.
Yeah.
Like nine days out of 10, I'm stoked. I'm getting up, thankful for the life I've got. Yeah, you work hard to build it, but like what I've realized over time is that most people aren't that. It's like they're doing the opposite, where they're not, like you say, not doing something they love for a living. So that's what I've noticed is a huge factor of people's mental state, where they're going to do this job
Sometimes
every day. But
that's good at it. They earn good money. Who cares? Just do it.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. But
we're
it's
the
about how you approach it up here. Eh?
we're the
It's
same.
it's a,
Yeah.
it's how you think about it in the mind, and that
Yeah.
sort of relates to the whole way that you live your life, doesn't it?
Yeah, but everyone has a reason why they're doing what they're doing and some logic to what they're doing. So, like, they're not doing the job for no reason. They're doing it because I can earn good money and, like, I can do it really well, but it does cost me a lot of time and it costs me these other opportunities to spend more time with my kids, but I can pay for this Rarotonga trip and the logic is all there. And so all we're doing is just identifying what the logic is and then seeing if that's how you want to actually look at it, and then maybe reapplying some new logic and some new perspectives into the mix to be like, oh, yeah, now if I look at it that way, then I would make different decisions. And then this is really logical now. And it's just switching up the perspective just to reconfirm you do want to do what you're doing. Because some people do make changes doing like going through the process, but then a lot of times I just tell people not to change anything. Wait to like see if you can add value on what you're already doing anyway, see how you feel, and then decide if you wanna make changes. Because like, can actually make what you're doing, no matter what you're doing, feel pretty wicked if you have the right perspective.
Yeah, yeah. Perspective is massive.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
it's all like you say. It's all the things that I always preach about. Is that sometimes, yes, you don't need to uproot like you did and change everything. You just need to have a better perspective of things. It's why I
yeah,
like
yeah.
young people, everyone in their 20s. I'm like, dude, go and travel the world,
Mhm.
go and see some actual shit places. Because then when you come back here, you're like, this is paradise.
Yeah,
Yes, New Zealand has its issues. Yes, it has this, it has that. But as a whole, this place is amazing. But if I hadn't have traveled the world and actually spent time in countries, like in Asia and different countries, third world type countries,
yeah,
would I have that perspective? And would I get up frothing every day for like the life I have? Don't know.
yeah.
Perspective, eh? It's huge.
Yeah, well, it's everything because I think, like, no matter what enjoyment you get out of anything, it's to do with your perspective. Because if you get pushed into water on a hot summer's day, is that the best thing ever or the worst thing ever? And it depends on whether you can swim. Like if you can't swim, you're in a life or death situation. But if you can swim and it's a hot summer's day, you're like, this is awesome. And you swim around, it's a nice time. But if you can't swim, then you're literally in a life and death situation. It's the worst thing that ever could have happened. And the skill of swimming, I believe, is the skill of using perspective to change how things feel in your life. And so if your life's shit, it's not because like you could be in a nice, cool swim on a summer's day. You just don't know because you can't swim, And then this idea of finding perspectives is swimming it through life. Is like kind of one of the analogies I like to use
So
as well.
with your coaching stuff, with the mindset stuff, is this basically what you're sort of teaching people and how to sort of get to this point?
Yeah. So there's a concept called looping that I've come up with, but that's free. It's just an idea that anyone can apply their life. But actually doing enough repetitions, like what you talk about, to be consciously aware of it all the time. It takes a long time and it's hard. And so you either have to have other people that are doing it around you and with you, or a real easy and enjoyable way to just get those first lot of reps in to remind yourself to keep doing it.
And what's the
Um,
actual concept of it? Of
so the
what is it
concept
called?
of it
Looping.
is, so you catch yourself in a moment where you're like, for example, you're driving to work, you start getting pissed off that you're in traffic, and you're like, oh, here's me being pissed off. Why am I pissed off? Oh, because I'm going to take a little bit longer to get to work. And then one of the so that's where you so that's catching yourself, first step. Next step, reframe it. And so there's lots of quick ones that so if you're under pressure, like for example, you're getting stressed out because you're in traffic, the best thing to do is zoom out. And so then at that point, you can be like, I'm one of 7 billion smart monkeys just walking on the crust of an organic spaceship, traveling 96,000 kilometers an hour around the sun, which is in a sea of suns called a galaxy. How much does it matter that I'm sitting in a freaking metal box being driven to work with any song that I could possibly think of at my fingertips to play to make myself feel good? Especially if it's a shitty day, like, is the best because you're like, "Man, I'm even blocking myself from the weather right now." Like, you see like a seagull flying in the wind, just like, beaming up and down, and then you're like, "Man, I'm just sitting in a climate controlled, like, metal cockpit that boosts me to work at 80 kilometers, 100 kilometers an hour." That's pretty mean. And if you have that perspective on it now, how annoyed are you that you're in traffic? You're like, "No." You're like, "Remember when you first got your restricted? How mean was it that you could go from, like, anywhere you wanted? Like, driving was the best thing ever, and now all of a sudden it's annoying." And so it's just, looping is catching yourself in a moment where you're just being a negative Nancy a little bit, and then just going like, "Why am I thinking like this?" And then coming up with some creative, fun ways to think a little bit differently. And then just doing that with enough reps to make it automatic, so that when you start to feel shit, you instantly trigger in and go like, "How am I looking at this? Why do I feel like that?" And then after a while, your brain starts becoming watch stand-up comedy as well. If you watch enough stand-up comedy, your brain starts to be its own comedian for you, and you're like, "That's so good, thank you." And then so looping's just catching yourself, reframing it, and then just doing that with enough reps till it happens automatically. Anyone can use it with any perspective. Even just telling yourself when something bad happens, like, "Oh, it could have been worse." That is looping. Everyone already does it. It's just once you frame it up and call it looping, and then you start looking for it, you can, find better ones and, manipulate the system a bit.
In that case, I've been looping for years. I just didn't know
Yeah.
it had a name.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I do. That's awesome though that you've kind of like labeled it, because I feel
Yeah.
like sometimes people actually need that. They need something to like, what's the word? Yeah, like a label, I suppose, on like a way of thinking or something. If they're not naturally wired that way, like some of us are,
Yeah,
it's
well, I think
I like what
everyone's
you've done
naturally
there. That's
wired that
good.
way. Everyone's naturally wired that way. It's just some people do it more than others. But unless you can frame it up into something that you can see, like giving it a name called looping and giving it a process, and then you can identify it and start to like go, "Oh yeah, I use that here. Why am I using that one?" Like saying it's not that bad is one that we always use, but there's way better loops than that. And then so once you've framed it up, you can now start to like analyze it and improve. Um, yeah.
Interesting. I like it. I think that's awesome. That's definitely the way that I've always thought, and I've always preached the bigger picture thinking that you're talking about too. Like look at things from a lot bigger perspective than this everyday. I'm in traffic and I'm pissed off because I'm going to
Yeah.
be late. It's like the actual like enormity of life as a human on Earth for one is
Yeah.
crazy to think about. But I've always been a what would you call it? A bigger picture thinker. I've always had that in the back of my mind of like what frames sort of the way that I see things. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
we are just these bloody monkeys on this way. And I
Yeah.
think people, and like there's a certain percentage of the population who go through a sort of I guess like a, what would you call it? Like a spiritual awakening in a sense. It usually happens in males about those mid-20
Yeah.
times where you start to have that way of thinking, that bigger thinking, and you actually like, like I had like full blown panic attacks when it happened to me. It's when the what do you call it? The pineal gland forms fully, and you sort of, it doesn't happen to everybody, but
Mine
it
was
definitely.
mushroom induced.
What was that?
I said mine was mushroom induced.
Oh, yeah, mine definitely was too. I've done
That's it.
when I was young. I
I think that's
dabbled
what
in.
makes all of those things that you were just explaining happen.
Yeah,
Oh, this guy's
exactly.
definitely done some
Yeah,
mushrooms.
yeah, yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
the psychedelics definitely in the young age definitely have their advantages. But yeah, I think a lot of people don't experience that, and when you do, you see everything like that. I always say the same thing. Like, and yes, like you say, the traffic thing is one example, but it's a good
Yeah.
example because it is something that triggers a lot of humans
Yeah.
to rage out. And it's like the framing of it. I always say the same thing. I'm like, whenever I'm in traffic, I'm just like, like, there's no, you can't stress about shit you can't change. Like, it's not
Yeah,
worth the energy, you know? It's like, I don't know.
exactly.
Yeah,
But it's,
it's a good one.
and so but you can also so it's not just for slowing things down when you're getting stressed, it's for speeding things up when you're not interested. Like, 'cause, you've got I don't know, how old are your kids again? You've got one that started school started this year or something there?
I've got
Forest?
two, yeah, I got a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. Yeah.
On your own 5 Alright, that's cool. Level 9, level 5?
Yeah,
I
well,
can't
if you look at it like that, yeah.
yeah, I got a level 2 and a level 4.
Oh, you're in the
Um,
thick of it, bro.
oh, it's mean though, but then,
It's
like,
great.
yeah, so I use this for parenting the most, like, I even down to I just got some new this sounds weird 'cause I'm a solo, like, I do 50/50 with my kids, so, um, and so I just got this new fabric softener that makes the washing smell mean, and then the kids, when I pick them up for a and so I now I was, like, excited to go and grab all their, like, bed sheets and, like, everything that they've got to wash it all because I'm like, "Fuck, it smells so mean," and then when you pick them up for a cuddle, it just smells real nice, and so that was one little touch to make it way more enjoyable. Like, what did it cost to get some fabric softener that made it smell nice? And that for me sounds a little bit gay, but whatever. It's just
Yeah, it's the
it made
small
a
things, though.
difference.
You're
And
learning
so
to appreciate the small things.
yeah. And then like my daughter's right into she's only 2, yeah, right into just drawing and like learning to hold the pen right and loves watching you write her name. And like that could be real boring. But then if share I try to take on what she sees in it rather than just looking at it from my perspective of like, "Oh, you've asked me to write your name 14 times already in the last 10 minutes. Do I need to write your name again?" But then I'm just like, it's all about repetitions. Every rep counts, and so I'm excited for every rep she wants. And then so if she wants 140 reps, I'm looking at it through she's programming her little hard drive, her little pristine little hard drive to experience the world around her is how I look at the little kids. And then so then if they need the 140 reps and she wants to keep doing the reps, encourage the reps. And then so then now I'm excited every rep she wants, not annoyed by the next rep. And then that's just a slight reframe that you can use for a young kid. And then, it becomes more enjoyable to spend time with them rather than feeling like you need to jump out of your skin, because that can happen too, and they're just, no, I don't want that. And you're like, well, what do you want? And they're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. Having kids is hectic, that's for sure. No matter what age they are. But like you
Yeah.
say, that's these mindset tools can be applied to parenting as well, you know? And
Are mainly for parenting for me at the moment. Like,
yeah, yeah.
all
And
kids.
that's
Yeah.
good that you're teaching this stuff well. You know, you've got a 2 and a 4-year-old and like your
Yeah.
life situation, and you're still, you know, you're teaching other people about this mindset stuff. It really speaks on like what you're dealing with too, because yeah, parenting's hard. It's hard work, and at the end of the day, like it's about how you approach it too. Like you say, like there's a big difference between parents and people with kids. I've said this before. You know, if you're a parent, you know, okay, a certain portion of my life is going to be dedicated to making these little humans into good people.
Yeah.
And then the people with kids, they just want to keep on living their everyday life and let someone else deal with it. You know, oh, you know, you deal with
Yeah.
my kid, whether it's in daycare, school, or whatever. And like, it's obviously a generalization. I'm never going to judge anybody and say that they're not a good parent.
Not at
But
all.
being a parent is like exactly what you're doing, sitting there
Yeah.
doing the same thing over and over again because you're seeing it from her perspective, not your own. You know, you're not going, oh, I've got to get to this thing and this meeting and this and that. I
Yeah.
don't have time for that shit. It's like being
Yeah.
present. Hey, it's
Yeah.
so important.
That's zooming in. So zooming out's going out to like the space and then zooming in, like, my son when he was really little used to get I don't know, he used to have these, like, everything's a problem sort of this phase. I can't remember how old he was, but everything was a problem. And then if I took him outside and just, like, went outside and then started like, "Oh, look at that flower. Oh, there's a bee on the flower. Look at the bee." And then next minute it's like, "Oh, that bee's actually got quite a bit of pollen on its legs." And I was like, "I wonder if they all have that." I'm like, "Oh, that one must be ready to go back to the hive. That looks full." And then, like, there's all these details come out that you hadn't really looked at before, and then that's zooming in, and then now it's kinda interesting. It's, "Oh, well, let's see how many bees we can find, and let's see which ones have full legs," like, and then you found a game now that you didn't know existed.
Yeah, it's
It's,
amazing. It's funny,
and
eh?
that's
Because
zooming in.
the older you get, the the more pure you realize like kids are. They're not
Yeah,
tainted by the world and all the problems that you deal with as an adult, whether it's like you said, sitting in traffic or a job or
yeah,
stress and this and that. They're just like these pure little minds that are so curious and like they live in wonder, which I think a
yeah,
lot
they
of
do.
adults sort of a lot of
It's
adults lose that over time.
yeah, and you see the same way you can steal enthusiasm from your dog by borrowing his perspective, you can steal enthusiasm from your kids by just looking at it through their lens a little bit, like, the other morning, like, I had a bit of time to kill um uh, between breakfast and kindy. And next minute, we've got the Bluetooth speaker on Mission Impossible music, and the kids have got their socks on, walking along the roof, dropping into like a little beanbag pit on the roof, and like it's
I
just
think I saw that on your Instagram, didn't I?
yeah, yeah. I just
Yeah,
posted.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't post many things, but that one was just funny. And then my new girlfriend just was like videoing it, which I don't normally have a video of. So I was like, oh, I'll put that up. And it went pretty good, but yeah, it's
Priceless
just
memories,
little
eh?
moments like that. Yeah, and like even cleaning the windows the other day, next minute you're doing like, "Ooh, what's down here?" Like, and then, like kayaking past the window and then,
Yeah, yeah,
and just and all these little funny ones and then spraying the window where they're at. And I don't know, just if you've got to do something, involve the kids and just make it fun.
yeah, 100%. And that's the thing. It's hard to tell people that who are, where they've got stressful lives and there's kids in the mix and stuff. And you're like, you saying like, oh, just be present and all this. Because, like I said, life can be hectic.
But your kid also, the cool thing about that is your kid's already used to you being the way that you are. And so it doesn't matter. You don't have to make big changes. My whole thing's around making 1%ers consistently and just go like, I'm just going to be a little bit better. Like, all right, what's a glue gun cost in 10 minutes? That's heaps of fun for a kid. Well, my kids is, I don't know what level 5 and 9 need.
It's
Like,
being conscious of it though, eh? Like you say, like
yeah.
that looping thing that you've
And it's
invented.
just
It's like
catching stuff.
catching yourself in the moment, being like, no,
Yep.
actually, I will come and draw with you, and I won't
Yeah.
just say I'm too busy or whatever
Yep.
the excuse might be.
And
It's
even if it's
interesting.
only 1 minute,
Mm,
and you just caught yourself, you did one thing. And even if your kid still harasses you saying, "You just still don't spend enough time with me." In your mind, you're like, "I still got 1 rep." And it's just getting as many reps in as possible. Because that's the thing that drew me to even reach out to you in the first place was you had a video at the start of the year. It was like reps equal value, which equals reward, which equals fulfillment.
100%.
And I've just done a big thing on, like, the difference between success and fulfillment and how they're, like, polar opposites almost. Because like, when you're going for success, it's like you lose track of the things that fulfill you because it's just like you almost have like a spreadsheet or a balance sheet on what you're looking for that you kind of make from a mindset 10 years before you actually get there, and then when you get there, you're a different person, and you're like, "Oh, hang on." And then unless you focus on the fulfillment part along the way, then you can kinda end up at a location way away from where you wanna be.
That's so true.
Yeah. And so it was around the time I'd been developing that idea that I saw your podcast and you went through this, like, it's equal value equal reward, which equals fulfillment. Like, oh my God, I gotta reach out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
Yeah.
right though, eh? It is two different things. But if you're lucky, you can do something that gives you both.
Exactly.
But then everybody's picture of success is different. For
Yeah.
some people, it's like what we just talked about, being able to be with their kids and
No.
spend time with their kids. In my eyes, that's part of success. I get to take my kids to school every day, pick them up every day. It's like that's part of it. Or
Yeah.
then you got the other side where their picture of success is driving a flash car or having all the money in the world. So it's like it's two different. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a personalized journey. There's no like one glove fits everybody in that situation.
Have you followed Tom Bilyeu? You know that guy, that Tom,
Sounds familiar.
and he at Impact Theory. He had a podcast for a while.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
He's like one of those guys who's just super like analytical. Like this is, and he has processes for everything. Like he's way too stringent. No, like kind of like Alex Hormozy-ish. Just real, just like this is that, this is this, and then he thinks there's a formula for fulfillment. And then he's like, fulfillment is you need to work hard to gain a set of skills that help you and other people, and then deploy those set of skills to help other people. That is fulfillment. If you do that, your whole life will be amazing. And like that's his yarn. It's like you just gotta work hard to gain a set of skills that help you and other people, and then deploy them to actually help other people, and you will be fulfilled. And that's like it's just a way that he always brings it back to like the primal programming of people. And he's like, I'm not, this is not a moral judgment. This is not me passing, is what he's saying at the time. He's like, this is what will biologically make you feel the feeling of fulfillment. Uh, yeah.
I
And
fully agree with that. I
yeah,
base most things I do around that, and I don't do the official coaching stuff like you do, but I tell people when they dive into something. Pardon me. When they dive into something, I'm like, figure out like your, I guess like your message or what you want to achieve with it. Your why sort of thing. If your why is like, I want to do this because I can make some money from it, or that's their end goal, then I'm like, well, you're not going to get fulfillment, and it's just going to be a hollow pursuit. Whereas like, a perfect example is 2 years ago, I started doing photography, like a photography YouTube channel, after having been a photographer for however many 10 plus years. I'm like, okay, I'm at the point where I can teach other people this stuff because I've lived it, I've experienced it, I've achieved it. So now I'm going to pass that knowledge on. The goal is and always has been just to encourage other people and help other people. Anything else that comes from it is a bonus. So like literally a year into it, I was like, I'll give it a year. I posted videos every week for a year. And, like it's a grind doing content. And the first message that I got back from someone being like, man, you've really encouraged me to like chase this goal and go after photography, and I really want to do it, and da 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 da. And it's like, that's my whole idea of why I wanted to do it. And I, now 2 years in, I've had many of those, and it's still my why. Like that was why I set out to do it. Yes, eventually I will make money from it. I've done some brand deals. There's external things that come from it.
yeah,
But my actual goal as someone who cares about others, the goal with it has always been to encourage other people to like chase their dreams and go after it. So it really reads into what you were just saying that old mate preaches,
yeah,
because you've got to have a why that's outside of like just everyday shit, like making some money or like, all the stuff we do in everyday life anyway.
yeah,
It's like, it's the deep shit of like helping people, and
yeah. It's something
encouraging other people that,
that has to be honor. It's the way that he says it is that it has to be something that means something to you and honorable, like in your own view of what honorable is, for it to get the strongest feeling of fulfillment. Which is along the lines of helping other people get what they want. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
And once you get to a certain stage in life and an age too, like, when I was young, it's cool to chase all the like what we talk about, the more material aspects of life, whether it's the fancy stuff, the nice cars, the lots of money, all this stuff. But once you get all that stuff, like you achieve it, you go, oh, actually, this is sort of just like a bit of a facade. The real stuff is, like I said, that individual person who's changed their whole life path because of something you've taught them or created that they've watched, much like what you do with the videos. Someone could come to you, and I assume, do you make videos for them, like, analyzing their situation and then give them feedback? Is that what you do?
It's just a one-off 2-hour sit down where I go through like a questionnaire and then I make the yeah.
So
But it's just
that there is a perfect example of like the real tangible difference, you know, the real tangible reward for you. Because then old mate that comes and does that with you, he might change his entire life path
they do, yeah, often.
and completely switch up and actually start to live his best life. And he will forever be thankful to you for that, you know. Like it's a I don't know. I think there's a lot deeper stuff that you can achieve with just helping others and being sort of a I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, you know, being that catalyst in someone's life to where they
Yeah.
go, oh, actually, maybe I could do this or I could chase this. I always say it at the end of my photography videos, you know, I'm like,
True.
you know, if you're having a crack and no one else believes in you, just know that I do, you know, like it's
Um,
some people just need that. They just need someone like yourself or a piece of content or something to,
One person, what you're saying and what I'm thinking, like, which I just need to come clean about, is like I do this to want to make like money out of it, and like because back when I was a salesman, the reason I got into what I'm doing now is that when you're selling cars or selling phone plans, like you don't truly believe in the thing that you're selling, really. Like you're doing it because it makes you good money, and like there's like this empty feeling that you get afterwards because do you really care that they drive an Audi car or not? No. But then this product that I have, do I care if someone has it or not? Like 100%. And I literally put a money back guarantee on it that says if you don't shed a tear, get covered in goosebumps, or have a life epiphany, you'll get your money back. And I've never had to pay the money back because I know this is so powerful. Like, and the thought I have in my head is like the perfect clients that are out there that are hearing this and going like, "Yeah, I've got kids and I feel like I'm railroaded." And like, all of these things that you're saying to me is just hitting home. And like, those sorts of people can, do a 2-hour questionnaire, figure out a little bit more about themselves and make it feel completely different. And that's why you get either covered in goosebumps, shed a tear, or have a life epiphany because when you actually take stock and see it from this new perspective, you get covered in goosebumps because it's speaking to like a truth that you've always kind of known about yourself, but haven't been properly able to articulate it yet. And then you shed the tears because you're like, fuck, that is me. And I know I'm on the right path now. Whereas kind of felt a little bit lost. Maybe this train isn't the train I want to be on anymore, but then you realize, fuck no, we're turbocharging this train and we're going. And that's what the tears come from. And then the life epiphanies is usually like in the shower a couple of weeks later, you'll decide, boom, I'm gonna do this now, you know? And so yeah, the distinctive is I'm not trying to chase money about it. I just want to make my money by doing something that I truly believe in and like think and know makes a difference, you
yeah.
know? And
Yeah,
that's
but
what
that's, yeah,
yeah.
you don't have to put a disclaimer on it. Like it's not,
Yeah, I just wanted to say that because it sounded a bit like, "Oh, I did all the things, I got all the money, and now I don't care about money." But it's like, "No, I didn't get all the money, I just
no,
got
it's
enough
still a
so I didn't
necessity
care
to
much
live
about it."
everyday
Yeah,
life.
and so I just
The
wanted to
difference,
make sure that I
yeah, yeah.
was painting that picture.
The
Um,
difference in what you're talking about is value. You know, it's the
yeah, yeah.
same with my, like I said, my photography YouTube channel. Yes, I put 2 years into it with, you know, my goal always being that I just want to help others. But it's like, yeah, I make money from it. And I knew that was eventually part of the goal too. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's a value thing. You know, it's
I
like
know.
you're adding value to your
Yeah.
customers, which is giving you value in exchange because you're
Yeah,
not just, it's like you say, you're not selling them whatever you said, a phone plan and being like, oh, off down the road, sweet, never see them again. It's like you're actually, much like podcasting like this, you're connecting with these people. You're actually helping change their lives. So yes, as much as your like your goal is selfless to help people,
yeah,
there's always got to be a monetary value put on it, if
yeah.
not straight away, eventually. You know, it's like I'm not saying that at all. Like,
It
and that's I know many people that work in your space, and trust me, I encourage everybody. I'm like, spend the money, go and see somebody who has that perspective of mind like you do, that thinks the way you do, and can actually teach you that, because that's one thing that knowing more people that do what you do, I've learned is that when you're wired that way, you kind of forget that not everybody is. You know, some people need coaching. Many years ago, I met where was it? I met someone and they told me they were a life coach, and I was like, back then I was like, hey, like what is that? What how does that even exist? But over the years, as I've sort of again like changed my perspective, the way I see things. I mean, I've always been that way, but and got to know people who work in that space. I'm like, that is
Yeah.
actually an amazing service and value for people that need that. You know, like
So,
they can just pay someone and do it. They
so
don't
off
have
the
to
top
go
of
on
your
this big
head,
lifelong journey of like finding themselves. You know,
yeah. So off the top of your head, who's one person I should reach out to for a good yarn and a conversation around these kinds of ideas?
on like mindset coaching.
Lots of stuff and like coaching and that sort of stuff. Because I didn't even really consider myself a coach. I got into videography by making mindset videos for myself when I was a salesman, like, like 15 years ago. That was my first ever video, was a mindset video for myself, after listening to like some Tony Robbins tapes. And then I was making them for myself for over a decade, then became a professional videographer. Then I could ramp up the videos I could make myself. And then it wasn't until making them for myself for so long before I ever thought of ever making them for someone else. And I was like, "Oh my god, why don't you just do that? It's so motivating and so cool." And then that's where it came from. And so I don't consider myself a life coach. I've just kind of figured out a formula for, "Oh, this is what I put into my videos and it made me feel good." And so that's why I just have a questionnaire that asks people the same questions I ask myself. And so I'm not even trying to implant new ideas. It's just use the looping concept because it'll accelerate your development. And then, well, I'm just using what you've already got in the system. Like, we're using your engine already. We're just slapping a turbocharger on it, and let's go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just
Yeah,
getting more.
that's interesting, and that's the thing. It's like you say, you don't want to like label yourself a life coach. I'm not saying that's what you were, but
I know, but it just sounds
I
like for
think
some reason that kind of
you've discovered this through,
yeah,
you know, organically, haven't you? And you've created it by
yeah,
experience, and that's why that's the differentiator. Then old mate who turns around and goes, "Oh, I think I can teach people how to live a good life," but it's all a lot of it's a facade. Whereas people like you're actually doing it off like you say, experience,
yeah,
and it's actually the way that you operate. You know, it's
uh,
good.
yeah, and it's but it's intangible is the other thing. That's why my business is called Nothing But Everything. Is because it's like it's nothing, but it's everything. As to how you operate, how much you can like afford to do mentally. Like when it's a rainy day and you can't be bothered and everything's hitting the fan and you've got bills that need to be paid and like maybe your car breaks down and I don't know. There's just so many things that can happen, or even just like you've gone through a relationship breakup that you didn't expect, or like and you're trying to find yourself but you've got to keep operating at this level to keep all your expenses paid. And then, but it's like, man, I just almost got derailed here and I'm having to put a facade on. And like, even that you can dissect and get so much energy from. Like the worst things that have happened to you are actually the biggest creators of energy if you can have the right perspective on them.
Hmm.
Um,
Have you seen Jocko Willink? Do you know who Jocko Willink is?
Jocko, is he the guy? Is he the good guy?
He's yeah, good. I was going to say,
Wow,
have you
give me
seen
the
his good video? That shit gives me chills, bro. That is the best little clip slash video that anybody could have. People need to keep that shit on their phone, and every time life's getting hard, just watch
I've
that
actually
because that is
I've
good.
used that in one of my clients' morning videos. I've used a section out of that. They're good.
Yeah, and it's basically that reframing, isn't it? And I've always preached that too. I'm like, I always say, there's always a positive that comes from a negative. Every negative situation in your life spits out a positive one. It's just whether you can actually pick up on the lesson or the actual bit of positivity that came from it or not, you know. And that's yeah, I love that video, bro. I don't know how many times I've watched it, but and that's the thing. It's like I've talked to many people, and they say, you know, people like me and you who are generally stoked on life and doing our best to like encourage others to think this way. Like we still have shit days too, you know. It's like you're not
Shit moments. I never have a shit day.
invincible.
I think I say.
Hey,
Never a shit day. There's shit moments in a day, but they never have a shit day. Whole day? No.
yeah, I really don't
Right.
because I've built the tool set to know how to pull myself out of it. You know,
Or
like
even
you
just playing
say,
a good song. Or like, so 3 things that you can do to just have something to revert back to in these moments when you catch yourself is just having a winning folder in your phone. Just scroll up a little bit, take 5 minutes, and just pick out like whatever photos jump out to you in 5 minutes, and put them in a folder called winning, and then just have that to revert back to. And then as you go back and revisit it, go, oh, I might find a few more. Or like as you're taking a photo, be like, well, I'm just going to chuck that straight in the winning folder because that's going to be a keeper or whatever. And moments that you have a downtime, go and look through your winning folder. And that automatically is like, that's a 20% pick me up, that one for free. And then have a feel good playlist on Spotify. If there's ever a song that plays that gives you goosebumps, fricking put that in a playlist, but don't use it too often. Limit yourself to once a month. Like, it has to be a once in a month downtime to play this playlist because otherwise you'll kill it. But if you make a feel good playlist, that's a free thing that everyone can do. And then also just make an album of winning, just a winning album in your phone. And then anytime you have a down, you can't have a whole down day. Like, there's no whole day goes down. It's just moments in a day that are shit. But there's also mean moments in that day.
Having that toolbox, having those, like you say, the Spotify thing, all that, it's all these tools to like, because I'm like that. Like sometimes if I'm feeling shit, you
Yeah.
know, if it'll be pouring rain, I'm like, good, get your shoes on, go for a run, you know, and I come back and I'm like, good to go again. I'm like back to normal. So it's like everybody has, and yes, I mean, not running's
Yeah.
not for everybody, but you know, whether it's doing a weight session or
Yeah.
whatever it might be, there's got to be a trigger in there for everybody, which
Yeah.
could be listening to a song, whatever, looking at photos, it flips it and goes, oh, actually, yeah, no, everything's all good. On we go,
Yeah.
sort of thing. Yeah, it's interesting. And I don't know if you build that up over time, you know, by knowing who
Yeah.
you are and what it is that actually like pulls you out of that mode.
But that's why framing it up, again, come back to having it as a framework that you can look at and analyze, like look back and go like, oh, I kind of used it here a little bit. But like in that situation, if I looked at it like this, man, that'd be twice as fun, you know? And then you just figure that out as you go. And then over time, as you start to reframe all the things, you can change how the exact same day that you would have gone through months ago that felt like shit can now feel awesome because you're trained to look at all the things that you're grateful for. And so um, another analogy is I imagine a crane is stacking things. Like it's a crane that can either stack something on the positive side or on the negative side. And like if you just have a habit of just stacking like all of these things here, it just never looks that good. Life feels like shit. But then if you can like be like, well, actually, I've got like a functioning body, which some people don't have, and like revert it back to all the simple things. Like, yeah, I do have a wife and a job and freaking whatever it is that you're deciding, and like kids, and you know the fact that like some people have spent $90,000 on IVF and still don't have a kid, you know, and like I'm just, you know, I can't stop having kids, you know. I'm freaking had to have a freaking vasectomy because I keep sending it up there like an idiot. But you know, whatever it might be, whatever your yarn is, you can have like a fun way of looking at it that you just be a bit more creative. You can add so much value to the same day you're already living because that whole life where you've got the car and the things, like, yeah, it's mean, but the car eventually feels normal. The house eventually feels normal. The lifestyle you live eventually feels normal. So you have to have a skill. There was, what's it? Can't remember his name. The bald guy was awesome. And he goes, if you can't appreciate what you have today, then you don't need anything else because you won't know how to appreciate that either.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so,
Gratitude.
yeah, what's his name? Anyway, Wayne Dyer. That's what his name is. He's the man.
What's his
Uh,
name?
Wayne Dyer.
Oh, yeah, I think I've heard of
He's
him.
got
Yeah.
one one of his cool analogies is that if you squeeze an orange, what comes out? So nothing but orange juice. And so it's like if you get squeezed by like someone puts pressure on you, someone, you know, cuts you off, someone doesn't do right by you in life, and out of you comes anger and frustration and all of that. That's just squeezing the orange. And then he's got some great concepts, that guy. But yeah, yeah. It's just you can always find a perspective for it. And it's just framing it up in a way that makes sense to you, that gives you the energy you need, and everyone's unique, and there's always a viewpoint
Mm.
because it's like
Yeah. It's
that.
gratitude, bro.
Yeah,
Gratitude's huge. And again, another thing I preach,
yeah,
keep that shit front and center. You know, everything you do in life, be grateful. Because, like you say, you could be not here. You could be
yeah,
dead tomorrow. Like, as much as people, like, I did a reel ages ago on a solo podcast I did talking about like death and life and stuff. And man, it hit people pretty hard. And I'm like, what it points out to me is that so many people are like not aware of the reality of human life. I'm like, and that's that spiritual journey we go on, realizing that shit. Like, this
yeah,
doesn't
true.
last. So if you can't live, you've got to have gratitude, man, because
I think
you could be gone tomorrow. Like, be
I
grateful for this life and everything in it.
yeah, I don't know whether it's if you're this type of person, you get into, like, photography and videography, or whether photography and videography turn you into this kind of person. Because when you're, like, behind the camera, you're always selecting the frame that you're gonna view it from, and, like, getting different angles, and, like, knowing, like, if I put, like, a little bit of foliage in the foreground, it's gonna make a nice effect, you know? And, like, it's doing that same thing with your mind, just with everyday life. You're putting the foliage in the foreground, and you're setting the scene so that it's framed the way I want it to be. And then it's the same day, I'm just framing it differently. And I think you probably got it from your photography, or maybe you're just that. I don't know what it is. Are you that type of person before you? And that's what makes you want to do photography?
Mm. I
I don't
think
know.
it's a brain thing. I think there's just a certain percentage of the population who are, whether they're creatives or whatever part of the brain they use,
Yeah.
who seem to not struggle with like this mindset stuff and thinking in these ways.
Yeah.
Because then you meet other people who are the complete opposite, and you're like, there's definitely a chemistry in humans that sort of creates a spicy mixture. But yeah, it's interesting, eh? And that's gratitude, man. Like it's hard, and again, it's hard to teach people and preach people this stuff because there's so much, like
Oh,
you
bro,
say, the
come
crane
on.
analogy, like you were saying, like it just piles
Like,
on some people.
this is what I saw for one of my clients just recently. So I just haven't put the QR code on it yet. I just saw it sitting there. This is just a little clicker from the s well, the Chinese store down the road.
Yeah.
And one of my clients, because we figured out I've got an app that you can use that you can count your reps of your positive loops, and he's like, "Bro, I'm gonna use the app, whatever." And I was like, "What about, like, a physical clicker?" And he's like, "Oh, man." And then so he's gonna use this clicker to, like, clock in his wins of the day, because he's like, "I'll never remember them all, but if I can, like, go like, 'Oh, I had 3 wins in that meeting now,' and I get back in my car and I go 1, 2, 3, and then I'm like, 'Actually, my car's me.'" And then he drives a nice car, and he's got cool things going on, but he says he just way overstacks this negative, like, "Oh, the shipment of the new gym equipment didn't arrive, and freaking this and that," and he stacks all of that stuff without appreciating his car ever, and he's like, "No, I need to appreciate my car every day, I know that." And, he's just gonna get a physical clicker, and he's just gonna see, "Oh, 27, that's mean, I'm gonna aim for 30 tomorrow." And so then he'll get in the habit of noticing the good things that pass with a physical clicker that just lives in his cup holder, and I'm just gonna, make a website on the back end of my website that talks about what the clicker is and the meaning behind it, and then a little QR code that goes on it, so if he ever forgets, he can scan it and remind himself why he's using the clicker.
That's amazing, bro.
Yeah,
The
clever.
cool part there, I think, is something that people need, and that is what we talked about before. That tangible thing, that
Yeah,
number, that's going
yeah.
to help rewire. It's literally going to rewire their
It's your
mind
proof.
and their brain for the
Yeah,
long term, just by going, like you say, oh, I'll try to get 30 tomorrow. It's like a lot. Some people need that. They need
yeah.
that thing, that app that they
Well,
can.
that's why we came up with the clicker, and I was like, "No, this will work for heaps of people. This is me."
Yeah.
And so, like, here's my trial on the clicker.
No, that's amazing, bro. And that's the thing. He might not do that for, he might not do your thing forever,
Yeah.
but he might do it long enough to where he actually rewires his thinking, and naturally he'll be like that. And then and that's the thing. Thinking this way and having a good mindset can literally change your life in many ways. And that's the hard, and getting it through to people is the hardest part, because they just think that you're just like talking some shit, whatever, mate. You don't, the woe is me people.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that need it most. I'm like, you
People are just
needed
so
something.
busy. They're just so busy, they're really successful, they're like, "What do I need to learn from that guy?" Like, "I've already got it all, and, like, there's nothing you can tell me that's gonna change this." Although, all I'm saying, like, 'cause one of my first questions in the questionnaire is, if you had to take a stock of how you feel every 15 minutes, so every 15 minutes of your day, you just had to write down a number out of 10, on average, what do you think that number is? if it's every 15 minutes, and you got to keep saying that because people will just jump to like, no, I'm like 8 or 9 out of 10. And then you're like, but if you did it every 15 minutes, is it still 8 or 9 out of 10? And then like, because when people are answering questions like that, especially in a moment like this, you want to exaggerate it on the positive side because you're like, no, I'm not a negative Nancy. But if you bring it back to that 15-minute one, people will pull back at least 2 points every time. And then once they realize that is actually their starting point, there's so much opportunity for, like, positive reinforcement on yourself for, like, the little moments, like making cleaning the windows fun and, like, having a little moment to just run across the roof with the kids and do some dumb stuff or, climb a tree or, like whatever.
Human life's amazing, bro. The more
Yeah,
people that, the more people that we and you, people that do what you do, can encourage people to see that and
yeah,
change the way they see it, the better society is. Like the ripple effect is something else I've talked about. It's like
yeah,
you might coach like the guy you're talking about with the clicker,
yeah.
and then guess what he's going to do? He's going to go out there, and that's going to trickle down to people he knows, and he's going to go, oh, hey, actually, I've got this trick, and it's like the ripple effect is massive. That one dude or that one client could be
Yeah.
hundreds, in
Oh,
however many years' time. It's like the more people doing this stuff, the better,
yeah.
because it's going to make society better as a whole, in my opinion.
And then just one question I thought of as you were talking, which I still wanna ask, was of the people that are doing kinda what I do, because I don't really know many other people doing it, who's one person for me to reach out to as, like, a cool person to have a yarn with?
The one that pops to mind, I'm going to get him on the podcast. He's an actual certified mental health coach and also like a PT, like physical. So he does the whole package. His name's Nigel from Amplified Health. He's up in Christchurch now, but we've been meaning to do a pod for years, and we randomly met years ago, and we just had this mean chat on the side of the road for like half an hour. I was like, this dude's on. But yeah, he does the whole spectrum. So he takes people come to him, and he teaches everything mindset. He gets them in the gym. He teaches them how to eat well. He teaches them how to exercise well. And he's been doing little mini podcasts on his Instagram and stuff just to keep these connections and the ripple effect. But he's an actual like certified whatever. He has all the stuff. And that's a different product in this space where he's literally like I don't know what the word is. He's sort of he's changing people's lives in every aspect, because it's like the mental, the physical, the diet, encouraging them to get off the boot. He sort of
Yeah.
takes stock of their whole existence and switches it up, sort of thing.
I thought it was, because there's a guy here called Nigel Beach, I think, who's run to the Wim Hof stuff. I was just making sure it wasn't the same Nigel.
Yeah, no. So he was down here in Cromwell, and he's just moved up to
Yeah.
Christchurch. We've been talking about doing a pod together for years,
Oh,
but we
nice.
just haven't crossed paths. So eventually I will get him on, because he's
Is,
a real good dude.
Because one of the things that's really good to use this for is just use it for your physical physique to prove to yourself that the looping works. And like the 2 loops that are for free that you can load in to change your physique without having to do a diet or workout regime is just move and have fun, and you are what you eat. And if you just memorize those 2 things, just move and have fun, and you are what you eat. And my rule is, workout is just 5 minutes. It only has to be 5 minutes, but it has to be 5 minutes. Can't be 2 minutes. And then I've just noticed that at the 5-minute before the 5-minute mark, around 3 to 4 minutes, you get into like a role where you're like, "No, I'm not stopping at 5 minutes. This is mean." But if you don't tell yourself to do 5, you won't do a longer one. But if you tell yourself you've got to do 20 minutes, you'll procrastinate and never do it. So I just tell myself I only have to do 5 minutes, make it fun. And like, oh, you'll see behind me, like my bloody house is like I trip over my weights in the lounge. I like have like a remote control charging station here, a little racing sim, and more weights outside, and a sitting there. And then if they're right there and you see them and almost trip over them, you do them every day, and then it's for free. And then I don't even get a sweat up, but like well over 1,000 days straight of just working out every single day now, and then you just kind of maintain at that point. Um, but
Depends
yeah,
what, and that I've talked about my wife with this kind of what you're talking about, and there's the two different types of motivation. People, people have different. There's people like us who have internal motivation, who like everything I do on like the physical side, running, lifting weights, like I'm the same. I've got a gym set up here at home. I'm fighting myself. Like I'm self motivated, but then it's always me pushing me. Where
Yeah.
people like my wife, if she's gonna do a workout or exercise, she has to have external motivation from a trainer or from like a group class, you know. She can't motivate herself like I can. Whereas I'm in this constant battle against my own mind and pushing
Maybe
myself, but she needs the external.
maybe she's actually happy though. And we're just negative bastards that are so good at freaking yelling at ourselves. We do the shit where she's like, I don't want to be that mean.
Well, one thing I've learned about myself over the years
I
is
just, that's such a funny reframe. Sorry.
yeah,
Because, you
yeah.
know, the voice
I
that tells me to work out, it's like, do it, pussy. What are you going to put this, you know?
yeah.
He's a nice
But
guy.
but see, I've learned that. I've learned that I love to suffer.
Yeah.
Like I thrive in suffering. Like when I'm out hunting and
Yeah.
it turns to shit, the weather goes horrible, or no matter what I'm doing, if I'm out on a run, whatever I'm doing, the worse the situation is, the more I get amped up. You know, the more I'm like, yeah, good. This is what we need. You know, this is good.
Good.
So I
Yeah.
actually like,
Shark or whatever his name is.
yeah, I love the pain. I love the suffering, but not everyone's like that. You know, they do need that external motivation of that trainer or whatever it might be to push them. They're not in a constant battle with themselves like I am. You know, it's two different ways of sort of, I don't know. It's interesting,
The
eh?
carrot or the stick. There's the carrot or the stick. There's so many ways to frame this. Like maybe, you know, for your wife, if she just framed it up like, you know, because one of the things that gets me in the ice bath is I had to memorize that it's going to give same amount of endorphin release as a line of cocaine that's going to last for 2 hours. It's going to quadruple the my body's ability to synthesize protein. So every rep after when I'm warming up is actually 4 reps. And so when I'm doing 1 rep, I'm going like fuck that's 4. And then at 1 calorie is 1 cubic centimeter of water, 1 degree Celsius. And so, you know, if all your skin's gone down by 20 something degrees and then you warm it back up naturally, how many free calories is that to, and then you're getting a cold shock protein that's telling your body, oh my God, we're going to die, burn all the brown fat that's around your stomach. Like, and you memorize that shit without having to have a voice in your head that's bashing you. It just now is logical. And so that's kind of another like deeper level of reframe that you can do if you just get enough reps in. And so I present people's ideas back to them on a website. And so if we come up with anything like this and an argument that will work for you, I'll lay it out on your website and you'd go in there and just do the reps of it until it's locked into your memory for free. Because then once it's logical, you don't have to have any energy to overcome resistance because there is no resistance. It's logical. But there's lots of creative ways to use logic to find energy where there wasn't energy before,
I like that.
or like that ice bath.
Ice bathing's
Mm.
brutal, bro. For a while there, I was doing like 1 degree for
Yeah.
3 minutes or whatever, and I'm pretty sure I found the limit of like
Yeah.
when it's like 2 hours later and you're still not warmed up. I'm like, yep, found the limit. That's too much.
Yeah, yeah. So I kept mine at nearly 1 degree for I did a year and a half every single day. And that sucked. Like that some of the days, the only thing getting in there was like, you're not gonna die. When have you ever gotten like you've done 500 now? When or like 300 or whatever it was. I've done in total over my life, like close to 1,000 at that point, I think. And it's like, you've done nearly 1,000 ice baths. Have you ever gotten out of one and thought, I wish I didn't do that? And then have you ever wanted to get in one? And it's like, no. And I'm like, fuck. But then you know, you still don't want to get in there, even with the logic, even with the argument about, and so that's why I had to memorize. The ice bath's the hardest thing you ever do consistently.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah, I only do a couple a week now. I've got one in the garage. It's just my old hunting freezer with siliconed up with
yeah.
uh,
Same as
on
what I got.
a little $15 wall timer from Bunnings.
Yeah, same thing here.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing I like. You know, people see you posted on like, oh, we ice bath, dude. The biggest thing you get from it is
Mm.
being able to push through that mental block, that
Yeah.
hurdle. Because that's like, yes, there's physical benefits from ice bathing and all that, but the biggest thing I got from it personally is that it's like it's literally torture, but you've got to overcome that mental barrier, and then that can apply into every aspect of life, no matter what the situation is. You're like, I know I can push past this point and
Yeah.
do it anyway, you know?
You can do a test to prove it to yourself how much your tolerance, because you can, if you hold your breath and time it for however long you think you can hold your breath for, and then do an ice bath, and then wait like an hour till you're just properly warmed up, and then see how long you can hold your breath now, and I guarantee it's close to 50% more. And you're not even trying harder. It's just your freaking natural tolerance for cack in your life, has just gone through the roof because you've just experienced this thing. And so relatively the amount that you need to breathe feels less to you, and so you can hold your breath for longer. And so, like, you can literally see how much it boosts it, and that tolerance is also going into your kids. That tolerance is going into people that annoy you at work, or, like, things that happen in your day, that your tolerance is way higher because you've done something that's shit
Yeah,
that you've had to
100%.
suffer through.
Always super slack with it over winter, but I need to get
Yeah.
back in there because it
Yeah.
is, like I say, even that mental barrier, that mental thing you get from it, like, is
Right.
yeah, it's massive. It's not for everybody, but it's if you can do it, you should do it because it definitely helps, whether it's physical or mental. I
And some
definitely
people would make it
encourage it.
so expensive as well, but it's a cheap freezer with a $15 wall timer,
Mm, mm,
a little bit of
yeah,
silicone.
yeah. That's all you
Like,
need for a bit of suffering and a bit of mental clarity.
yeah, like worst case scenario.
Yeah, yeah. No, and that's the again goes back to the toolbox.
Yeah.
You might, like you say, you might be having a like you say no shit day, but a shit morning, and you go, oh, I know something that might fix this. Go jump in the ice bath. Oh yeah, sweet. Now I'm good. Like because it
Well,
does do that. It's like you
it
get out of
does.
there, you're like, holy shit, like you're pumped.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
yeah.
it's another thing to add into the toolbox of things to sort of get you back on the right track.
And like the song that you listen to makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I sometimes do it in silence, sometimes do it with a song. And I've got this one song that's got this line in it that goes, "When you stop looking for the end, that's when you escape." And it's like quite this trippy song. And yeah, when the song ends, I can't just be like, "Sweet song end, jump out," because the whole point of the song is when you stop looking for the end is when you escape. And then I'm, why do I need to get out of this ice bath? And then like next minute I'm pondering it for 20 seconds off the back end of the song. And then, it's just you can really mess with yourself once you start playing with these ideas and getting into it. And the key part for me and everything I do is that it has to be fun or you'll never get the reps in. And if it's not enjoyable, you'll never, ever, ever do the reps. So do small amounts in like little increments at first until it becomes a habit, and then just do it enjoyably. If it becomes unenjoyable, don't do it anymore. And if you're like, no, I need to do it, so I need it to be enjoyable, come up with a new perspective, invite a friend that is like doing it as well, and be like, okay, I want to commit to this, but I can't make myself. But if you're doing it too, then it'll be so easy for me to do it because then we can chat about it. We can both share the suffering. Um, and then that's what kind of makes you push through, is just knowing that I don't have to suffer and it doesn't have to suck, because I can actually find a new perspective or some other tools to make it seem a lot easier. And that's that whole like when you're on the train, which a lot of people are, because as soon as you've had, that's the thing I avoided was if I had good kids with my girlfriend, I knew I was trapped and I was on the train forever. And so I had this split moment of like, I'm 26 now. I either commit, go do the kids and never think about this ever again, or and feel like part of my soul died maybe is what I was scared of. Or you just flip the script and just delete everything, derail the train, and just realize hopefully that train's rebuildable. It's kind of I went for option B. And like that's so hectic for someone, like you gotta, and so I can see how lots of people don't do it, and then they do end up feeling like part of their soul was taken because they didn't take the opportunity when it was there. But what I'm saying is that I can definitely help you feel stoked with the train you're on, turbocharge that motherfucker, and like enjoy the journey of going down the road you're already on.
Yeah. Change of
Yeah.
perspective, bro. It's
And
massive.
yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of kids, I'm going to go watch my kids cross country. So we better wrap
Right.
this up. What's your website called again? Nothing but.
It's nothingbuteverything.co.nz.
All right. So if anybody wants to get on the looping program, they can go
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. It's just if you're interested in finding more energy for what you do without having to derail the train, And like it works perfectly with trying to get a better physique. It works perfectly if you're feeling guilty not spending enough time with your kids. And it works perfectly if like, you're just trying to find more life balance, even though you've probably already got it. I can make you more stoked with what you're already doing. Um,
It's
and so
amazing. You've built
it's
a framework to help people live their best life, essentially.
yeah, yeah. And I just help other people that are like me because I apply it to my life. And so if you've got young kids and you're, in this sort of similar situation, then fuck, it's definitely worth reaching out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like I was saying earlier. The evidence is there, eh? When you're like teaching these things and you're like, well, it's from experience, much like me teaching people about photography. It's like I've made all these mistakes, I've done all this shit. Now I feel like I've got the knowledge to pass on to you, help you achieve it, sort of thing. It's the same. It's exactly the same, isn't it?
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, no, good chat, bro. I really appreciate you coming on, and I think what you're doing is amazing because, like I said,
Having me
that
on.
that ripple effect.
Yeah.
In the moment, it's hard to think of it, but the impact you leave on other humans
Yeah.
can live on forever. I did a little pod about legacy the other day, just yarning about it, and it's exactly that. It's like,
Yeah.
you're
I
leaving a
shared your post
legacy,
on Legacy this morning.
yeah, of helping people,
Yeah.
which then will change their entire way they think. Like I say, taming this thing up here and using it accordingly can change your entire life. And
Yeah.
then they go, oh, actually, this shit does work. They teach the next, it's the ripple effect. It just goes. And that's something Nigel from Amplified, he talks about it too. Like, it's huge. You get your life on track, you think right, you're grateful, all the things that you're sort of teaching
Yeah.
ripples down through society and just makes it better in as a whole. So I think it's
Yeah.
bloody awesome what you're doing.
No, thanks so much for having me on. It was a lovely, lovely yarn and good podcast, bro. Like I just from that very first video I watched, I was like, I have to reach out to this guy. And so it's funny that it all timed in now.
And it
So,
comes right back to what we were talking about earlier,
mm,
trying to help that one singular person
yeah,
change their life, change their perspective, change whatever they need to change to live their best life. It's like that's what it's all about. That's what these yarns are all about.
yeah,
Is
exactly.
people,
There'll be someone listening to this that has the golden nugget of like zooming out, zooming in, freaking, moving, have fun. You are what you eat. There's little like just hope there's some golden nuggets in there that people can take away that go, yeah, I'll just take that one bit and just try it. And if it works, then grab another bit. Listen to it again later. Like, but wait a few months. Try just one thing, one idea, one time, and then just snowball it from there. So just don't try to be like, right, I need to do everything like that. I'm gonna make, I'm gonna stop eating sugar and I'm gonna do the exercise and I'm gonna freaking, like sleep 8 hours a night. Like, and you do all those things starting on Monday and I'm never gonna go back. So no, it doesn't work. Just one idea, one bit, and just snowball it.
yeah,
Snowball
work your
it.
way into it,
Yeah.
eh? 100%. Yeah, and like you say, the more I'm going down this sort of this rabbit hole and path, which I mean is just how I am as a person,
Yeah.
I'm learning how good it can be for others. I have the messages that people send me of all these little bits of wisdom, and they go, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I do that now, and it's like I don't know. I'm learning more and more how many people actually need this stuff. They need to learn these mindset skills to
Oh,
sort of,
it's not
say,
like
live their best
listen,
life.
there's so much better for them. Like, not for them, it's just it just makes life more enjoyable. Like, I'm not trying to tell you, I'm just saying this works for me, and it's pretty hilarious, and it's a nice way to live. If you wanna try and do it, here's a framework that you can use to apply it to your life in your own way. Because that's the thing, it's not like, do it the same way as me because that's how it needs to be done. It's like, no, here's a framework that you can use your own life to apply to, and it will just amplify what you're already doing, man. And so
Yeah,
that's
I
the whole
love
thing.
I love that
Freedom
you've built
probably
it
would change.
that
Yeah.
you've built it like that, an actual like a tangible thing. Because like I said, some people need that. They need a program. They need a thing. They need the looping. They need the
Which is
label
a way of
thing.
seeing it and looking at it so then you can mold it, because at the moment, it's like, how do you change a cloud that you can't actually properly touch or see or feel? You can't change the shape of it that well. You're like freaking doing these ones like wafting water, but like once it's like a physical thing that you're like, here's the frame and I'm gonna put that there, this here, and it's gonna look like that. And then now it's not a cloud anymore. It's something that you can look at and manipulate.
Yeah, hundred
And that's
percent.
what looping does. Yeah.
No, good shit, bro. Like I say,
Uh,
what you're doing is amazing, and definitely keep it up, because
Boom.
that
Yeah,
ripple effect is gonna come back around eventually. And yeah, you just, I don't know. It's the best feeling ever. Anybody who's doing something that helps others, the best part is when, Joe Blow or whoever it might be, you hear back from them and they're like, dude, this has changed my whole life. It's like, I can't explain how good it feels. It's just like, don't know. If you're a selfless kind of individual, it's an
Well, it's just
amazing feeling.
there's I'll send you some videos that I've made. I've made a video on fulfillment and what I think it means to me, and I'll happily send it to you just to have a little watch. And but yeah, I love these ideas, and I love condensing them down to something that someone else can, take on board as well.
Yeah, definitely. What's your you use Instagram, don't you? What's your
Yeah,
thing called?
just nothing but everything.
Nothing but everything on there. All right.
Oh, it's nothing but everything NZ actually. But if you search nothing but everything, it comes up with my face in an orange box.
Yeah. I see you. So anybody listening, if you want to
Yeah, go and have a follow.
connect with Nick on there, go look him up. All right. Thanks again, bro. Appreciate it.
Enjoy your kids' cross country.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
it's
you're
real
doing
crap weather outside. They were like umming and ahhing about whether they were going to do it because it's kind of raining, kind of not. But I think they're going to try. So we'll see. My kids aren't exactly athletic, so they're not real stoked about it. But
I'd say
like,
that.
you'll be all right. You'll be
That's
all
all
right.
good. Have
Right.
fun.
Thanks again, bro. Appreciate it.
See
Talk
you,
soon.
man. Bye.